the Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever.
And welcome. You are watching and listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Today, it's January 30th, 2026. Big day. I couldn't have planned it better. Martin Armstrong is on with us now. It's been kind of a momentous day and a momentous month in the metals markets for sure. I mean, as we're talking, gold is down $505 the ounce. Silver is down $32 the ounce. Martin, you were like calling for Monday for an inflection point for gold. You were off by 24 hours, but I guess it's better than most of these other analysts who are off by years and decades, right?
Well, it's like holding your hand up in the air. We can all do that, but keep it there. Eventually it feels so heavy, it's got to come down, and the biggest problem with the metals, which is very interesting this time, most of the rally has been actually short covering rather than people running out and I just got to buy it sort of thing. So you don't have the real tremendous speculative type bubble, demand bubble. And I've spoken to many people in the industry, refiners, etc. And what's going on is that a lot of people that did have silver were dumping it at these kind of prices, to the point that the refiners are no longer, even accepting it or offering any money in advance.
They're puking silver.
Yeah, so that comes back to the to the small dealers. They can't buy it because they can't sell it. They don't have the capital to keep going. So, whatever they buy today, they're typically selling it off to the wholesalers the next day. And if they're not paying, it's taking 2 to 3 months to get it, then they stop buying. This is really what's going on. And so you get an inflection point at this stage, but our computer's clearly showing this is not the end of the bull market. This is not a major long-term high like 1980, something along those lines. This is still a perfect storm, in the sense that we have shortages in metals, a lack of refining capacity. We have sovereign debt crisis going on around the world. And then you got war. So when you have this sort of a perfect storm, it still looks as though fine. You get an inflection point, you pull back short term, and then it's going to take off again. We may even see a temporary low by next week, and then a bounce back again. It's mainly people who've been shorting, expecting it, like 62% decline and all this stuff, and it's going to stay down there. We're just not dealing with the same thing that we were dealing with years ago.
Yeah, the physical shortage, the actual deficit in silver, and then we have expanding industrial uses in everything. I don't have to repeat them, but cars, you name it, cruise missiles, and solar panels, and all the electronics, they all need silver. There's no substitute. And we haven't been producing enough because prices have been too low, and it's all product mining. So when we talked a couple of times ago, you said gold would hit 5,000 and then 10,000 really quick, because when it breaks a number like 5,000, then there's not much resistance ahead. So you called this, your article was yesterday, saying that Monday was probably that point, and it turned out to be Friday. But 10,000 gold is still on the horizon, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is not longer term. I mean, by the time we get into 2032, I would expect like silver at least like around 165.
Mhm.
And the same thing with gold. I mean, um, a lot of the, unfortunately, a lot of the gold bugs have um, constantly misrepresented what gold has gone up for. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I was there in the 1980s, and you know, gold went from about 400 to 875 in the last 6 weeks, and that's when Russia invaded Afghanistan. It's geopolitical. It's not. You don't get that doubling effect in 6 weeks because of inflation.
Mhm.
Um, that's just nonsense. It's more of a geopolitical thing. It's the same thing, like with BRICS. Um, you took Russia out of SWIFT. That was then a warning sign to everybody else. If they don't do what the Biden administration ordered them to do, they could be removed. And you even have Blinken even threaten China. Don't support Russia in this Ukraine war. We might do the same to you. Really, you know, the problem I have with these people is that in all honesty, they're complete idiots because all they look at is what's in front of their nose. Oh, I got to beat Russia. So let's do this. Okay. What are the implications of what you're doing? All right. It's like the Vietnam War. Okay. You've got Robert McNamara before he died. It's on YouTube and he wrote a book. Sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. We thought Russia was involved. Well, not only did 58,000 Americans die because they were wrong, but you broke Bretton Woods. The whole gold standard. I mean, I think a 3-year-old with a pocket calculator could have figured it was going to crash. You can't fix the price of gold at $35, but then continue to print dollars for whatever you want to wage wars. Then you had Johnson and the great, society and socialism. The amount of dollars that was being created with no um, understanding that how do you do that and still maintain a $35 fixed rate? It's
Mhm.
That's what I mean. It just to me it's very frustrating because you would think somebody with common sense would figure out you can't fix the currency and at the same time print as much as you want.
Yeah, but
I mean,
we're still doing the same thing, right? I mean, look at these deficits.
but it's at least not fixed. you know?
Yeah.
If it was fixed, I mean, we wouldn't be able to last this long. Um, but and then you get these people that say, "Oh, it's fiat because it's not backed."
Hmm.
Really, they don't understand what a currency is. The backing of it is the wealth of the nation. It's the productivity of the people. And I mean, both China and Japan rose from the ashes after World War II for productivity, not gold. They both became the largest in their respective regions. All right. If a backing of a currency with, commodities is supposed to be the real value, then Russia should be number one.
Right.
They got more commodities than anybody. Then you had the dollar going up after Bretton Woods collapse. And So the gold bug inflationists were wrong. They thought the dollar would collapse. So then they came up with the petrodollar theory. Oh, now the dollar is backed by oil. Okay, well then why is not the Saudi riyal number one currency? And oil's not, it's less than 10% of world trade. So where is that the backing of the dollar? Well, you have to understand, you can go on eBay and buy bonds, China issued bonds in British pounds before World War I. Everybody went to Britain to sell their bonds because that was the financial capital. That's where money was. You needed money, you went there to borrow. After World War II, New York became that way. So all these emerging markets, they issue debt in dollars so they can sell it. This was the problem in China. China should have been more authoritarian. They told their provinces and people, do not borrow in dollars. They all did. Mm-hmm. The dollar went up and they all lost a ton of money. They were just, oh, gee, yes, I can save money on interest rates. I can save 2% if I go in dollars. Okay, but then the dollar goes up 20%. I think you lost your shirt, mm-hmm. So it's more than all of that. It's the strength and support of the dollar is the economy itself. Japan's got to sell its Toyotas to Americans. Germany's got to sell its BMWs to Americans. Mm-hmm. So we're the largest consumer-based economy. And they're all selling their stuff here.
And they have no choice, right? They have to sell here or they lose a huge part of their market.
Look, that was the whole idea behind the euro. This is why Germany, Kohl took Germany into the euro. He didn't allow the people to vote under the theory that with a single currency for Europe, they could export more cars, etc., to the rest of Europe and eliminate the foreign exchange risk. Because if the Deutschmark went up by 20%, then the price of a car to an Italian went up 20%, and they couldn't sell it.
Right.
So, I saw that back in 85. I was living in London. I bought a Ferrari, 308. It was a $60-some thousand car in the United States at the time. And in British pounds, the pound went down to par. Right. So I got it for 42,000, whatever it was. But then the pound went back to $2. Ferrari couldn't afford to sell cars at 40-some thousand. So they raised the price in pounds. But then the pound doubles. And then everybody saw Ferraris were suddenly double in price. So the idiots, then you saw people buying Ferraris because they thought the Ferrari was the investment. It was just currency.
Yeah.
I met somebody in Toronto. He had like 40 Ferraris and he thought this was a fantastic investment. I said, it wasn't the Ferrari that went up. I'm sorry. It was all currency.
I love it. I love it. So at the World Economic Conference, and any of you out there, I highly recommend that you go to the next one because it's just you can't get information in that group of people that are there. You'll never find these people any other place. But you talked about the panic 2026 being panic cycle year. It looks like it's living up to that, and we're getting closer and closer. If I remember correctly, April, May is kind of where it peaks.
Yeah, it's a panic cycle is typically something that takes out both directions. Um, from a trader's perspective, you just exceeded yesterday's high, and you turn around and you crash for the afternoon, and you take out the low. That's what we call panic cycle. Uh, so we had this on war starting here in 26, as well as the euro. And so you have the euro rising, expected it to rise first, and then turn around and go down. The prospect of war developing is quite high. I mean, as you know, I was shocked to be called in to even ask to write the peace plan for Russia. And I took my assistant, Hannah. At first it was like I was being invited in for a briefing. I said, "You want to brief me on what's going on in Russia?" I mean, all right, I'll show up. And then she had to leave the room. I said, "Oh, so this is real national security stuff now, and so I was asked to write this peace plan. And then they said, we want you to use your back channels. I said, you want me to do that? And they said, yes. So I did. I got it on Putin's desk. Took me 4 days to write the thing. And I'm like a college, preparing for a college exam. You're working like 15 hours a day. And like 2 days later, Lavrov came out and said, we are willing to guarantee we're not interested in invading NATO. And at that meeting, I was told, we agree with you. We will not be in war with Russia. It will be China. And so then I think basically it got obvious why I was called in. Because I think the neocons that have infiltrated the Trump administration were blocking everything all the time. At that meeting, I mean, you know me, I just say whatever it is that
yeah,
what the computer says. I don't really give a shit what they have to say. I said, look, we should get the hell out of NATO. They're going to create a false flag to invoke Article 5 to try and drag us in to fund their war. And I was surprised. The response was, yes, we know you're correct.
Wow.
I said, yeah, wow. Then you had Rubio stand up, swearing we're still in with NATO, we'll be there for NATO. I got basically a thank you letter from Trump. I was kind of surprised being called in, and I even asked, I said, is this sanctioned? Because I'm wondering if I'm being called in by some side group or something, and I said, no, this is sanctioned. You were approved to be called in. I said, oh, all right, fine. So now I did get a thank you letter from Trump, which I put on the blog, but I don't know what's out in the press right now. It should be out maybe today or by tomorrow or something like that. But now I've heard that Trump is going to shut down over 200 NATO installations.
Wow.
And
that's big.
People. So, check the press. That might be coming out, very soon. So it's hard for me to say. I've dealt with Europe and I've dealt with the U.S. And so I've again, I think part of the reason I was called in is because I was there, called in initially for designing the euro from scratch. So I know all the ins and outs and how it wasn't formed correctly, and that's the debt problem that they have. We saw it initially in 2010 when Greece got in trouble.
Right.
When, I'm not an academic, I'm a trader. After that, what happened? Immediately, all the guys, they made a lot of money shorting Greece. Great. Who's next? Oh, Spain. Okay. And then you go off. All right. This is the problem with Europe because they did not consolidate the debt.
Right.
Each country still has its own debt, and each country prints euros. They have little codes on the notes that say which central bank does it come from. The structural flaw here is you've had UK and France both admit, their finance ministers admit they could be pushed to the point of needing an IMF bailout. That's what Greece was in 2010. Okay. So let's say, for argument, the traders are watching France meticulously. If it just smells like they might be in trouble, they're going to start shorting. So then what do you short? You're going to look to see which banks hold the most French debt. That's how it worked with Greece.
Right.
So then, because they didn't consolidate this, it turns into a contagion. It affects, okay, who's next? Okay. Italy. I've been in discussions. Now, they know what I've said for decades. And what I've heard, rather than reforming, rather than actually correcting the problem, all right, is that if Southern Europe got in trouble again, Italy, Greece, Spain, they would jettison them, regroup the euro to the northern states. I mean, these are politicians and academics. They're not traders.
Right.
What's a trader going to do? Start shorting this shit out of whatever looks weak. I mean, this is what they don't get. And that's my concern for Europe. And this is why they need war, why they have to have an external enemy, because otherwise the people, if they're going to lose their pension funds and things of this nature, they're going to be storming the parliaments with pitchforks.
Right.
It's like Biden, when he put in on the sanctions and gasoline went up, what did he say? Oh, it's Putin's inflation. But what did
Always
Putin have to do?
else.
This is pretty standard for, it doesn't matter what government you're looking at, left, right, center, whatever. They will always blame an external enemy.
Yep, this is true.
So you go to Europe and they're all, oh, Putin's evil. Putin wants to take Europe. All this nonsense. You look at the press. I just read the Telegraph. I have no respect for any of them. Oh, Putin invaded unprovoked. Really? Okay. The day before, Zelensky stood up and said they were going to rearm with nuclear weapons. All right.
Crazy.
And the Washington Post found out he knew when Russia was going to cross the border. And there's an interview, you can look it up. They asked him, why did you not warn your people? His response, if I told them we were going to be invaded, it would have cost me $7 billion.
Wow.
I mean, these people are not interested in their countries. They're not interested in humanity.
No.
Trump has, I believe, that is now out in the press. My peace plan, I said, just honor the Minsk agreement,
Right.
and the war would be over. Trump
It's too
has
simple.
just said to Zelensky he must surrender the Donbass in order for the U.S. to give him the guarantees. And that was the Minsk agreement.
Yeah, that was
Allow
it.
the Donbass,
Totally.
which are Russians, okay, to simply vote. Do you want to be part of Ukraine or separate?
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia split along ethnic lines. Czech Republic, Slovakia. Yugoslavia broke up, ethnic lines. Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro. This whole region has been occupied by Ottomans. I mean, so many times that you have many different ethnic groups throughout there, and they hate each other.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, inviting Hamas to set up to as your next door neighbor. I mean, it's in Israel. I mean, they just hate each other.
Yeah, that's it.
There's certain things you're not going to overcome. And Iran and Israel. I mean, it's religious. It's my God against your God.
Yeah.
All right. This is not, okay, I'll give you, boardwalk for a Park Place. This is much beyond that type of negotiation. This is ethnic hatreds that maybe can be calmed down for a while, but they're always going to be there.
Yeah, that's it.
We had 2 employees in Ukraine.
Struggle.
And we had a conference in Greece, and the one from Kiev refused to fly back the fastest way because the plane simply stopped in Moscow.
Yeah.
And so you're just changing planes. Nope. We'll not go there with those Russians. I mean, this is what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
the
crazy.
hatred is systemic, and you're not going to, Ukraine from the very beginning. You can search our blog. I said Ukraine should be split along ethnic lines, like Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. It's the only way to peace.
Yep.
And how many millions of people have died for what? We're at the same place. Trump says, give up the Donbass if you want the guarantees. And there's just certain things you can't do. I mean, it's just, crap.
All right. Well, on that note, I got one favor for you for part 2 of our video here. If you could just pull up Socrates and tell us what you told us earlier, but just illustrated on the arrays for gold and silver coming up in the March area, that would be great.